Assalamualaikum. This is my group presentation for subject AFT1023 Fundamental of Management. I am Syafiqah Nur Imami binti Muhammad Zalaluddin, and this is my group members Muhammad Ashraf bin Shaharuddin and Nur Atika binti Syariman. In this presentation, we are discussing the word of Frederick Winslow, Henry Gunn, Henry Foyle, Mary Parker Follett, and Max Weber as it relates to the general administrative approach to management. This is the content in our presentation.
Now, I will talk about the first pioneers, which is Frederick Winslow. Frederick Winslow's real name is Frederick Winslow Taylor, and he was born in 1856 to a Quaker family in Germantown. For your information, Frederick Winslow Taylor was entered to Phillips Academy in Exeter to get his first education in 1872. After that, Frederick Winslow going to the Harvard and becoming a lawyer like his father in 1874. Now, we move to the approach of Frederick Winslow Taylor. Taylor's work is impressive. In 1911, the book Principles of Scientific Management was published. Of his life work, and he used various instances from his previous job to illustrate his point. Under initiative and incentive management, nearly the entire problem is up to the workers, whereas under scientific management, more than half of the problem is up to the management. If you see an approach today, scientific management has resulted in a major loss of skill level and autonomy for shop floor personnel in today's scenario. Workers were no longer allowed to use their own tools, which they may have spent years customizing to suit their own unique style, in addition to be subject to high tenure scrutiny. To relate with the example, McDonald putting Taylor's scientific theory into practice by hiring managers to do tasks known as task management. Managers offer employees direction at work and impose task management, most cleaning, which reduce sluggishness and independent thinking. The advantage of scientific management theory leads to increased output. The scientific management theory is responsible for increased output because it's focused on continuous improvement in business operation. The next advantage is that it is beneficial to the nation. There were more positive features for the country thanks to scientific management philosophy. With these ideas, some of them boost productivity and lower cost of product, industrial harmony and peace, and every phase of society achieve a high quality for living, national income raise, and industrial progress accelerated. Except from that control, accuracy decreased as the theory for context-specific solution was based on experience and observation. The accuracy was achieved through better planning and decision-making. The first disadvantage is management assume control. The management is fully responsible for the supervision and planning of workplace activities. And the second one is employers gain influence of the workers, which is the following disadvantage. Work becomes mission-fixed as a result of this activity, and workers are treated as machines. For conclusion of Frederick Winslow, Taylor's work throughout his professional life was focused on increasing productivity and thus profitability, and his goal was to raise productivity without overworking workers. And Taylor's scientific management principles are still relevant in modern time, though they have undergone some change. And last, Taylors have met a number of obstacles.
Henry Lawrence Gunn, or known as Henry Gunn, was born in Calvert County, Maryland, United States. He was a graduate of McDonald High School in 1878, who later went on to study at Johns Hopkins University. Gunn practiced four principles that have developed this theory of management, which is the Gunn chart, industrial efficiency, the social responsibility of business, and the task and bonus system. Gunn also explained the existence of two types of work charts, which is man record and daily balance of work. Next is the viewpoint about the approach in today's context. In my viewpoint, the management approach taken by Henry Gunn is still relevant in today's context. Gunn created many kinds of measuring tables. He created it so that the company owners and supervisors can know carefully whether the production process is on schedule, ahead of schedule, or behind schedule. The approach by Henry Gunn not only helps managers, but also helps the employees a lot. Next is related example. Gunn provides an example of carrying out work that took several days to complete. The chart shows two rows. The chart shows when the day a job starts and when it should be finished. In 1916, in his book entitled Work, Wages, and Profits, he explained clearly about the implementation of above work scheduling. In 1919, in his book Organizing for Work, he presented two important principles about the table. The first is to measure the amount of activity that exists in relation to the amount of time it takes. While second, in the end, the data can represent the ideal amount of work that can be done in one unit of time. Next is advantage and disadvantage. The advantage of using the Gunn's approach is manager can monitor the progress of the project from the beginning to the end of project to ensure the project is done within a predetermined period. The next advantage is it can help to motivate the employees by giving the bonus. The last advantage is improve the employee retention and attracts better employees out there. Meanwhile, the disadvantage of Gunn's approach is too much information need to depict for a complex project. The last disadvantage is competition among the employees in the same company may occur. In conclusion, this approach introduced by Henry Gunn had a major impact in the field of organization and administration. He giving a unique insight into the human relations dimension of management at a time when scientific management was at its peak.
Now we move to the third pioneer, which is Jules Henry Fayol, also known as Henry Fayol. Henry Fayol was born in 1841 in a suburb of Constantinople, or now known as Istanbul. For the approach of Henry Fayol, the 40 principles of management developed by Fayol define the talent required for effective management. He wrote about his experience managing a workforce in 1916 book. In approach today, many business and institutions can benefit from Fayol principle in some form, and people use them as the cornerstone of their management system, with others being constructed on top of them to improve efficiency and administration in any organization. These principles are both impressive and practical. If we can relate with the example today, most large companies use this principle to manage the organization to run smoothly. Now I will talk about the advantage and disadvantage from the Henry Fayol principle. For the first advantage, many business group workers with diverse skill and talent into terms rather than having them work on projects individually. Employee with an outgoing personality, an employee who is introverted and analytical, and an employee who can come up with dozens of great ideas. Fayol also admired team spirit, which he refers to as esprit and corps. For the disadvantage, we have three disadvantages, which is division of work, remuneration. Authority is an easy way to govern when the value of leadership respect is undervalued. For conclusion of Henry Fayol, the distinctive element of management principle were elucidated. The relevance and applicability of Henry Fayol for team management principle in current and future organization were critically explored in this article. The majority of the concepts were found to be valid and applicable to both current and future organizations, with some adjustment to suit specific situations.
Next is Mary Parker Follett. Mary Parker Follett, or known as Mother of Modern Management, was born in Quincy, Massachusetts on 3rd September 1868. She studied at the Thayer Academy in Braintree, Massachusetts. Fowler practiced 4 principles of coordination that have developed her theory of management, which is the principle of direct contact, the principle of early stage, the principle of reciprocal relations, and the principle of continuity. Fowler also created a management theory that is still in favor today. Its main principles include integration, power wave, and group power. Next is the viewpoint about the approach in today's context. In my viewpoint, the approach introduced by Mary Parker Follett has added a dimension of thinking in organization management. This theory is one to prove that the human relationships are the most important source of influencing organization. Problems and conflict in the organization also can be solved by practicing the principles. The next part is related example. Follett argues that managers require training so that they can lead and manage organization effectively and efficiently. Although some theorists argue that leadership and management is technique that one can acquire, Follett disagrees. Follett also considers that management as a profession. This means that it has a body of knowledge. Furthermore, Follett believes that managers should include the spiritual aspect of management. Next is advantage and disadvantage. The advantage of using the Follett approach is the managers can solve the conflict or problems effectively. Next, it can help to develop and give exposure to the workers. Furthermore, the approach shows the importance of working as a team. Meanwhile, the disadvantage of the Follett's approach is integrated problem solving is not always feasible. The last disadvantage is the lack of discipline will not be effective in today's larger companies and franchise. In conclusion, Mary Parker Follett's contribution is relevant to managers in contemporary society. She offered valuable insight on the importance of powering with rather than powering over and integrating with employees to solve conflicts.
Max Weber is known as the father of modern sociology. He had first used the term bureaucracy to describe an organizational form which in his view was superior to others. Max Weber has described 6 important principles of the bureaucratic management approach. There are 6 characteristics in the bureaucracy management, which is specialization, hierarchical management structure, formal selection process, formal rules and regulations, impersonal rules, and career orientation. The bureaucratic management will come out as a result of the highest level of the business efficiency, rationality, and worker satisfaction. An organization with the highest level of efficiency may include a clear structure of hierarchical management. Bureaucracy management exists in many sectors of the business world, which is the public sector and private sector. Same as in the private sector, bureaucracy exists in some large organizations such as Coca-Cola, IBM, and General Electric. The advantage is the management become more efficient, and secondly is increased specialization or expertise, and lastly is predictability of a business. Systematic record keeping may occur in a. The disadvantage is management is wasting time, effort, and money, and secondly is delay in business decision making, and lastly is discourage the innovation and creativity of employees. Lastly, the conclusion is bureaucracy management theory was developed by Max Weber to address some of the problems with traditional authority.
That's all from us. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.